Hello everybody, what is up? Cobra here. And so in this video, as you guys have seen from the title, I have a custom map to show you. So, as you saw in my last video, I did a review of 1991's A Line in the Sand by TSR, and I went over the map here, and it's a very nice map. You know, you can really appreciate the artwork of it all. I mentioned all my likes and dislikes about the map. I really like the theme, this kind of satellite view, but it's also kind of hand-painted detailing. And also just the visibility of everything is very nice. You can see all the countries and everything. A few of my gripes with the map were that major territories, like you can see here, Israel, Kuwait, places that'll likely be fought over, are pretty small on this map. And then also you can just see from here, there's a few things that also have to do with visibility when it comes to gameplay that kind of degrade the map. One of the major things is the symbols. Some of the cities can get lost here, especially when you have a lot of units. And especially, you can see here the air bases, at a distance, even with the naked eye, it's really hard to see them, and you can see on video they basically disappear. So, I really liked the theme of the map, but I wanted to try something of my own. Another big thing too was that geographically, I didn't really like how the map was cut. They did the best to fill out this space specifically that they had here. This rectangle gives you the most space here in the Middle East, but I really like the idea of having maybe, Africa coming down here to show that the Red Sea is, like a kind of contained sea, and this doesn't just kind of empty out to like the Indian Ocean, that Africa does indeed come down here. So I went ahead and made my own custom version that I'll show you right here, and as you can see, it's all folded up, and when we unfold it, you can see that it is what we have here. So as you can see, I've upscaled it, printed it at a slightly larger scale. This is a 3 foot by 3 foot, almost exact map. The original is about 1.5 feet by 3 feet wide, so this has another good 1.5 feet added to stretch it upwards. And so with that stretch, as you can see here, we've added a lot more down here just for kind of what I would call context's sake, with Africa here, basically the horn stretching out, with Egypt getting a few more territories down here that represent that kind of Nile Valley. And up here in the north, I've expanded areas like Kuwait and Israel. Israel on the original map, if I had it here, is about this big. So you can see that I've added almost 50% more, and overall the territories are much bigger. So on the original map, for instance, I was mentioning that a fighter aircraft would basically take up about the entire Israeli space. So you can see that the cities here are about that size, and so each of those territories in Israel was about that size of that city. But now, as you can see, this Gaza space here has an airbase. You could stack your aircraft here and stack your infantry and other units over here. But overall, I tried to keep some of the themes consistent, so the labeling of the nations is like the same fonts I used. The colors are all the same, so they match with the units. So you can see the Arab states have this kind of green border color, Iraq, Yemen, red, Iran over here in the slight orange. It's a little bit difficult to see on camera. And then, of course, the volatile Arab states, Libya, Syria, Lebanon in pink, and Jordan. But yeah, I decided to kind of go all out into the satellite theme of the map. Kind of like the original, where I actually used satellite imagery to get this high resolution detailing, which I really like. You can see it's very high resolution, looks very nice, and kind of went with what I was kind of going for, as like you would be, in the 90s seeing a TV screen or something of the satellite view of the region and the units moving around on it. You can see I've also done some gameplay considerations. So the Suez Canal Zone here has its own rule. It's not technically a sea zone. You do need a point to cross it, so you can see you enter here and then exit there, but you can't stop there. So for that, I have integrated these dotted sea lines. There's a little summary here of the canal zone, and you need to control all 4 of these territories here in the original game to transit it. So I've marked that by these canal markers, so you'll know who's in control of what, and that some territories like here and the Sinai Peninsula don't count towards that. For the, we've got some territories that are impassable, so like the original, some of these Arabian Desert territories in the dark orange. Same with Sudan and Eritrea, which have been kind of squished up here to give that context of Africa. You know, they're additional territories, but they don't mean anything. Overall, even though the map is kind of squished into a more realistic shape, of course, Saudi Arabia would go quite far down. It's much different kind of geography-wise than the original, where the Arabian Peninsula was very squared off, and Yemen and Oman were just these boxes on the edge of the map. So in this case, there's a few territories that kind of line up differently than the original, especially here in the UAE, which in the original is, like I said, a kind of dotted line of boxes along the coast. But as you can see, geography-wise, that's not really what the UAE is. You know, it's got this peninsula here, but then it does have some desert. So it has the same amount of territories as the original, but it's a little different now in the way that those territories are shaped. But for the most part, everything is just about the same. So like in the original, Iraq versus Saudi Arabia, the border is exactly the same. Same with all the Iraqi territories. You know, from here to here on this map, it's the same amount of spaces as the original map, even if they are slightly different shape. Territory-wise, lots of things are very nice and spacious. You can see here Kuwait City, which used to only be literally like half the size of this aircraft marker. You can see that you can base, you know, a stack of aircraft and 2 units there. And I mean, there's a little bit of overflow, of course, but you can see that everything fits there. And unlike the original game, which these units would have to be out in sea, and you really wouldn't even be able to see the territory. As for other additions to the game, or I guess things keeping with the original, I still have the turn tracker over here, and the different trackers for Jihad, War Fever, and also the map legend, which also includes impassable territory, which wasn't in the original, so you know, new players might not know, so everything's here. One last addition that I made that's kind of big is that Bahrain and Qatar were not in the original game. They just weren't even there. This was basically just a flat coastline. So in this game, they are territories. Qatar is representing a Saudi territory that in the original game was basically, you know, 1, 2, 3 Saudi territories. So in this, now it's Qatar with an oil marker that was in the Saudi one. And then Bahrain is just added. But as you can see, they're green, and even though they're you know, separated, you know, you can see here this national border. Qatar is technically its own nation, but you can see these 2 nations are marked with the SA, which is the Saudi Arabian designation, and that just means that they are treated as Saudi territories. The Saudi Arabians can set up units there, and if Saudi Arabia falls, so do those 2 nations. So they don't really add any other units to the game. And I was considering even adding an airbase to Qatar, basically moving one here to here, because in real life, say in Desert Storm, they did use Qatari air bases. I decided to keep it out just to keep that territory, you know, kind of not as important because it wasn't in the original. And then other than that, some context was added to Iran here, which got a lot bigger, so you can really see how kind of large it is in comparison to the others. And you can see a little bit of the Caspian Sea there for some more geographic context. And then I think that's just about everything. Overall, I really like this map, and this will be available on my Patreon page. You can either, you know, print it out and maybe, you know, set up Axis and Allies units and kind of play Axis and Allies on it, or if you do buy the Line in the Sand board game, you can print it out and play it with that, because I really like this map. I really like how the pieces look on it too. The brighter colors really kind of make it pop with all the units. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Cobra, out.